Welcome back, everybody, for my review today. We're going to be talking about the brand new, long awaited Final Destination Bloodlines. So, before we get into the movie, I just wanted to say really quick that I totally planned on doing a review series for this franchise, but I just did not have the time with how I work and how I come home and all that stuff. I just have a very limited set schedule on everything. So, trying to keep up with all these current movies, the limited time that I have to record and edit, and then trying to go to work and juggle that, it just wasn't an option right now. There was just no way. I just couldn't find the time to do it. So, from what I've heard, there's supposed to be 3 of these new movies, so hopefully that's the case. If that's the case, I will try my damnedest when the next one's coming out to get a review series out. And if we don't get another one, I'll just try to review all these movies somewhere down the road because I'm a big fan of this franchise. I'm actually super late to this franchise. Number 3 was actually the first one I ever saw, and that's one of the ones I got to see in the theater, and I love 3. 3 is one of my favorites, probably because I have that nostalgic stuff tied to it, but I finally, after the third one came out, I finally went back and watched the first and second one. So I've been a massive fan of this whole franchise. So hopefully I'll be able to talk about the franchise as a whole sometime on the channel going forward. So I think it's really cool that the 2 directors, Zach and Adam, got this movie because of how they did their audition. From what I understand was they were on a Zoom call audition, and at some point they faked a death or faked some kind of death, and they did it in this extravagant way. And that alone won them the job. So I thought that was a really cool way to stand out and to screw your place to make a movie like this. So basically, this story is just like any of the other Final Destinations, if you've seen them, about a certain somebody that has a premonition. They try to get everybody out of that situation to prevent them from dying, and then slowly death is like, you know what? Nope. And death comes back for them one by one in the order that they would have died on the certain whatever it was. You know, the first one you had the plane, the second one you had the pile up. In this one, it's more of a family type thing. So you start out at the beginning of the movie with this girl who gets a premonition on this like high-rise restaurant, which I thought was really cool. And man, did they go all out, because this whole first sequence, just like a lot of the other premonition sequences throughout the movies, they slowly like build this tension of something that's going to happen. This one really takes its time with getting there. It really builds and builds and builds and builds, and then when it finally takes off, it goes and keeps going and going and going. And you're like, holy shit! You're like, the amount of like tension that you feel through it. It just keeps going, and all these extravagant, crazy things start to happen to all these different people, and there's actually some pretty dark humor to some of the stuff that happens in it too, which I know they sprinkled some dark humor into some of the other movies, but there's certain parts in that beginning part while all this chaos is going on around it. There's certain characters, what happens to them, you can't help but to laugh. So it made for a yeah, it was interesting. Something I thought was really cool about this movie too was, instead of following a group of friends who, eventually get, caught up with strangers and stuff, because, the one person saves a couple of their friends and maybe 7 or 8 different strangers in the scenario that they're put in. And this one, it's more of a family, like, obviously from the name Bloodlines, it's more of a family thing. So it's passed down from generation to generation. And it's cool how it dives into all that, and I think it was cool how they kept it a family thing. It was a different route to take, and it was a way to bring some kind of new life into this movie. And like I said, I just thought that was a real interesting way to take it. I know at some point this movie was supposed to be about, they were going to make it was going to be about the frontline workers or something with nurses or something along the lines of that. And I don't know what happened with that story. I think I read something a while ago why they scrapped that, or what happened, or why they didn't do that. But I'm not 100% sure. So this was an interesting route to take it. If they were going to try to do something new with it, I thought this was a cool way to take it, because it's kind of an interesting element of, well, shit, if this thing's coming for our family tree and it's just working its way down, it's like, well, how the hell am I supposed to escape that? I mean, in all the other movies too, that's the coolest concept about this movie, this franchise really, is that you don't have anyone like in a mask or a supernatural thing. Oh, I guess this could be a supernatural thing, but essentially this is just death. This is something that I wouldn't know how to even go about trying to escape this. How do you figure out like the timeline of that, and how do you put all the pieces of that together? All I can say, if I was ever in one of these movies, I would easily be the first one dead, because there's no way in hell I would ever be able to be like the main character trying to figure out the patterns and who it's going to be next and all that stuff. There's no way. I would be dead immediately. I do like in the beginning of the movie how the premonition doesn't play out the way you think it will. I'm trying to tiptoe around it because I don't want to give any details about this movie away, but once you see the premonition, something else takes place, and you're like, oh, okay, that's interesting. It takes it almost in this way to where it just completely, sidelines your expectations, and you're like, okay, this is interesting. I'm kind of curious what this is. So it's about really stuff that's kind of passed down to people. And again, I'm trying not to give anything away. This is a movie I did not watch a single trailer for, and I'm happy that I didn't. I saw the little teeny teaser that they put out at the very beginning when they started promoting the movie, and that was it. And anytime the movie or the trailer came on in the theater, I was just like that in the theater. I didn't watch it. I avoided it at all costs because apparently I heard that they gave away all the cool set pieces and kills and stuff throughout the movie. And I have to say, going into this movie not knowing anything honestly made it so much better and so much more of a surprise. Because I'll be honest, I didn't even know who the main character of this movie was. I didn't know if we were going to be following the person in this premonition. I didn't know which of the family members it was going to be. All I knew was it was a Final Destination movie and it was about family. That's all I knew. Like I said, I had no clue who the final girl was, or who our group of characters were going to be, or none of that. So if you can go into this movie blind, I think it will really, really help your expectations. Now, let's talk about the kills real fast, because honestly, that's why most people come to the Final Destination movies, is for the kills. They are pretty damn awesome. Like, they really crank it up and go back to kind of how it was in the beginning. They kind of fell off, at least for me, a little bit in 4, with Final Destination 4, because they went the 3D gimmick. And so they kind of limited themselves on what they could do with the kills, because they had to make it, pop and all that stuff like that. And so, yeah, and plus it was very CGI heavy, and you could see a lot of the thing, and it just wasn't done very well. They did the same thing in 5, but 5 was definitely more of a step up. They kind of they made the kills where they weren't so, ridiculously in your face, but they did it in a way to where it was still in that 3D way, but if you were to watch it at home on like your 2D TV, the kills weren't so ridiculous, that you could still have fun with it. So with that, they went back in this movie and definitely stepped it up with, obviously technology and stuff has changed now. So they have definitely ramped up the kills. The kills in this movie are brutal as hell. Like, oh my God, there was so many parts just in the premonition in the beginning that I was like, oh hell no. I said that to myself at least 2 or 3 times. Where I was like, oh hell no. There's no way I would be up there in that situation anyway. Hell no. It's the same with the kills. It's like once they start, it doesn't let up through it. It just goes and goes and goes. And like I said, they are very brutal, and without giving anything away, I will never look at an MRI machine the same way ever again. No. So if somebody's like, "Hey, you need to have an MRI," I'm like, "The fuck I am." But with the story being interesting and the kills being, really up there, I have to say I really like our characters that we follow. Like, you follow this family, and you slowly get to know this family, and you slowly spend this time with them, and you realize that through this family, they're a pretty fractured family. Some of the family members are distant for certain reasons, and throughout that and through this situation, it kind of brings them back together. But you're able to spend enough time with these characters that you learn to like them, that you learn to care about them, which is a great thing, because obviously you'd be like, I don't care what happens to these people. Like, I have no qualms with what happens to these people. So I think, when you get attached to characters, or when you actually learn to care about characters, it really helps, because you don't want to see anything happen to them. And I think it helps when it comes to the suspense levels, because this franchise really is more of the type of movies where you're always on the edge of your seat, because you're always waiting for anything to happen around the corner. Anything can happen at any given time. You're always locked in and looking around of like, well, because you start to think about stuff yourself. You're like, well, that could fall, that could do this, and that would trigger this, and it would do this. So it kind of it really helps when you're very much into the characters and can really be with the characters, because it's a way that helps it really just help build that tension even more. One other thing that I thought was really, really cool that without giving anything away, was this was Tony Todd's last performance before he passed away. Rest in peace. That is one of the people that I've always wanted to meet at cons, and I sadly never got to. And the dude was just such a legend, not even in horror, but just in film in general. But in this movie, it really ties up his character. It really gives more of a backstory of his character, because he's just kind of, for a lot of people, he's fantastic, and we love him in these Final Destination movies, but he just kind of shows up as this mortician and explains and has all this explanation of death and how you can work your way around it and try to cheat it and all that stuff, and everyone's like, who the hell is this guy? How does he know all this? So this movie kind of it puts an answer on that, and it was really cool how they came full circle and tied all that together, and it was just a cool send-off for his character, and I'm so happy that he was able to do this one last movie. So, and he's fantastic in it. He's not in it a lot, obviously, but he's the little bit that he has in it, he shines just like he does in the previous movies. So, again, rest in peace to Tony Todd. I honestly don't really have any issues with this movie. Really, just there was something that I was hoping that was going to happen maybe at some point in the movie, but it didn't happen. But that's more of a nitpick, so it's that's no big deal. But honestly, like, the characters were solid, the story was solid, the kills were very solid, and the tension was there. Like, it had a perfect recipe of everything that you want and love in a Final Destination movie. And it wraps it up in this new story with these characters that you're like, that breathes this fresh life into the franchise. And I think that's really awesome, and I really hope that, again, they do get to do the 2 more movies that they were planning to do. I hope it's the same directors, because they did a fantastic job of directing this movie. The way that they did certain shots, the way they did the kill sequences and stuff were great. And again, going back to the kills, if you love bloody, violent, holy shit kills, this movie delivers that in every way, shape, and form. Like, this has got those wince kills where when you feel the phantom pain of everything that's going on in the movie, where you're watching it and you're like, oh God. So overall, I just thought it was just a solid movie. And really, me going back and seeing this Final Destination movie in theaters really made me realize how much I miss these movies. And how much fun I have with them. So I highly recommend checking this movie out. If you can, like I said in the beginning, go in as blindly as possible. Please don't watch any trailers for it or any TV spots or none of that stuff. Go in as blind as you can, because I really, really think it will help your experience with this movie overall, like it did mine, because I didn't know anything. I just knew, like I said, I was there. It was Final Destination, and I knew it was a family. That's all I needed to know. This one's pretty high up there for me, and I really have a hankering to go watch this movie for a second time. So I would say definitely check it out. It's a fun movie. It's a fun time at the theater. It's a wild ride at the theater. Check it out. Just try to see it on the biggest screen that you can, and just go have fun with it. It's a lot of fun. If you like what I'm doing or enjoyed this review, please comment, like, and subscribe, and all that fun stuff. Please comment below and let me know if you've seen Final Destination. What's your favorite Final Destination? What's your favorite kill? And I would love to know what you thought of this movie. So please leave all those deets down below. Let's talk about it. And if you haven't yet, and if you've just found me on this video, I have a plethora of other videos and reviews for 2025. So please click up here. I'll leave a card somewhere up here for you guys to check out that playlist of all my other 2025 reviews. And as always, thank you guys so much for being here, and I'll see you guys in the next one.